Yeah, I'm thinking to publish it after his presentation because
Okay,
he's presenting on July 15th
okay,
at the conference. So I think in fairness, probably release it afterwards because he's using this to prepare everything.
right.
And out of respect for him, I'm
Very appropriate. I understand.
gonna
Yes, of
hold
course.
off on it.
But just a little heads up.
Yeah,
Want to,
and depending on what we find, he might not even want us to put it out there. Who knows? It's kind of like this is for him. For now, it's private.
okay.
If everything goes well, we give it to him to release and we put it out too. But I think it's just a gift for him for now, just
Yes,
so
yes.
it's giving back, literally.
Of course, of course.
The other ones that we've done, I'm going to publish them. I still need to edit them for July and put it out, both of them that we did together.
Very, very good. Very good.
Okay, so I'm just going to introduce you and say the remote viewing questions that came out. Some of them are from the Command Nexus book because that's the quantum RV that I did for him from the quantum field. And
Yes.
so some of the questions are for that, and the rest are about his missions and other things that he's gone through.
Well, as,
So
as we have been doing in a number of these, I'll just see what comes to me and I'll share with you. Hopefully,
yeah,
we're pointing at the same thing.
well, you're gonna see the questions now. Like it's a whole
Okay.
list and
Okay.
some images. So I'm gonna start record and then do the introduction and explain where some of this came from and get started. Hi, it's Ileana, and I have Dr. Amir with me today. Hi, Amir.
Hi, Ileana. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you. Looking forward to another amazing project.
Indeed. So today we are remote viewing Drago Reid. I had initially done a project for him for remote viewing from the quantum field of his soul, and all of that information is now in the book Command Nexus. So some of these questions that you've never seen before come from the remote viewing that I did of him that's in this book. And the other half of the questions come from his other experiences and command missions. So it's about 19 pages of remote viewing data plus some images that you will be looking through, and we can see what we can do for Drago with this remote viewing.
Absolutely. It's an honor.
Mhm. So I'm just going to start sharing the remote viewing questions. Can you see those well?
Yep.
Okay. So the first question that he is asking was, what put me in a trance while reading the book that caused me to disassociate? So whenever you're ready, we can get started.
There's a number of causes for the trance. One is um, a type of regenerative implant um, attached to the occipital lobe, the back of the brain, messing with the visual part of the brain, but also attached with very tiny tendrils into the deeper centers, uh, triggering a state of disassociation. It is regenerative. Hopefully, we'll have a chance to work with Drago and permanently get rid of this. As we continue to learn, we are exposed with newer technologies and we also are updating our skill. Um, so that's the first cause of this. But also there is a time effect, or let's say an effect of multiple copies, where the version of Drago existing in these events is overpowering the version that is here now in the 3D. Again, following protocols of secrecy. So it is kind of willing and unwilling disassociation. So it seems that the Drago in 3D reality and linear time is breaking through these limitations that another aspect wishes to basically have done.
Yeah, I was getting, when I was trying to remote view the various aspects of him that do these missions, I couldn't approach it from a standard remote viewing aspect of observation. I had to go into his deep, deep quantum field soul to
Mhm.
see these things. And it was so much information, it had to be put in a certain way to make sense of it. And because it was different missions. So, and I had to bypass some interference measures. I had to bypass them, everything that hurts and everything that threatens, basically, like because there is that energy in there. So to bypass that, I did the remote viewing in the quantum field where it is very safe. So that's how I did it, and I guess so it wouldn't stop me and prevent me from going in to see. So I think that I kind of felt that energy there and I bypassed it.
So there is um, a very powerful consciousness, which is this aspect of Drago himself. Um, Naturally, that version would not be acquainted with us and our objective, and so it would be considered as a outside influence. And so the first instinct would be to block it out. And when we are in tip-top shape, in the peak of our ability, we do have access to other aspects of our own infinite soul. I've seen this over and over and over in terms of healing, where the current version in a human body has the ability not just to heal themselves, but send out waves of correction towards every other aspect. So all versions of that soul are receiving healing from one unique and again the same kind of pain or disease or implant. Here it's a defense initiated by a version that is still at the midst of a mission. So a very
Hmm.
powerful mind trying to maintain self-control.
And he asks, it would make me freeze and not let me read next parts of the book.
It seems that um, a council of reconciliation and unification is in order, where all these aspects get to see each other. Um, and this usually doesn't occur. Um, but in the case of someone that is a super soldier or involved in very exotic projects where the highest good of one aspect and all aspects are involved, then this would be, in fact, something to do in an ethical way, introducing each shard to the other one so that the soul understands itself. And so, what I mean by this is undoing the fracturing that has happened, because sometimes this fracturing through methods such as trauma-based mind control, this goes way too far. It is not organic. It is not divine creation or separation of energy. Also, please consider that cloning is involved. We both know this with our wonderful friend Drago, where other copies of the original energy are also being utilized. And this is, well, he is a victim of his own greatness and success. Certain soldiers are so amazing that they are copied. We see
Mm.
this in many, many ways, even in primitive cultures, where elite warriors were asked to produce an unusually large number of children, tens or hundreds of them, to just to keep that spark ongoing in the tribe. So it seems that this applies here too.
Well, I saw 3 copies of his clones, two
Yeah.
males and a female. So those were and I couldn't look at them directly through normal remote viewing, so I went to the quantum remote viewing to
Hmm.
get that information.
Hmm.
That's why I think he was disassociating because it was hard reading what was retrieved from the quantum field. That wanted to go back into the secrecy vault,
Yes,
but it's out in the world. Anybody can read that.
that is correct. If I may respectfully just add something,
Hmm.
the as far as I have had the honor of working with many of such super soldiers, the version that is in 3D Earth in linear time, they are overloaded with implants, interfering with the natural abilities and gifts, so they don't remember. There's lots of stuff causing noise in their system, so they're not at full power. But we have cases, for example, like yourself, dare I say myself, who managed to get rid of these obstacles. And then we are a force to reckon with because we are truly free. We have broken out of the most severe type and variety types and varieties of control mechanisms. And so this is the most powerful shard, able to unify the rest of them.
Hmm. And he says that I would go into a daze that lasted for a few hours and I would just sit there and do nothing like I was caught in a programming loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that the
Wisdom. Yeah.
protective mechanism?
It's a defensive mechanism. So the version of this soul that is initiating this, it's like sending out a taser blast. And so those hours of haziness or incapacitation are the intended purpose. It's meant to last a lot longer, by the way, or to permanently overload remote viewing ability in an opponent. And so now it is applied to a different version of the same consciousness or the same soul. It's lasting significantly shorter. He's snapping out of it a lot faster. Still, it's taking a number of hours, but that's just to emphasize the potency of this defense mechanism.
And I was able to avoid this because I went through a quantum field, basically, where it's like entering an energy vault and looking at all the active parts of him that are on missions and these clones and other aspects. And just, I'm looking at this from a safe point of view where I'm not engaging in overriding the safety mechanisms. I'm not blasting the vault to get in. I'm sort of finding keys to the vault to safely do this because I've been attacked before in the past too in
Mhm.
doing remote viewing, especially on targeted individuals or highly classified individuals who are on
Yes.
in top secret projects. So to avoid this, I sensed you have to go a different path. You have to go a different way. There has to be more safety. There has to be more protection. So I sensed that what he was experiencing, I sensed to avoid that it had to be done through a whole new way of remote viewing. So I just followed that safety and what I felt was good to do. And I guess I avoided all of that, but he had to read the findings of the remote viewing, and it had still triggered him because he had to know it, but he had to overcome this stuff.
I, I'm of the opinion he's getting stronger um, after a certain number of exposures. Um, the energetic structure, similar to the body, builds immunity. And so then you are able to take a certain type of shock or toxin and completely transmute it without it having any sort of disabling effects.
Hmm.
Um,
He's, yeah.
he's getting there.
Yes, he said it kept happening over and over for 2 weeks and took me that long to read the book because it kept setting me off.
Well, 2 weeks is not long enough. I'm talking about a number of years, perhaps. Um, but it's definitely going to happen. The will is there.
Well, I guess I inoculated him because there was so much information. The book is 260 pages.
Mhm.
Um, so he had to be inoculated. And it's like parts of himself are attacking him, and
Yeah,
he has to know the truth. And they're attacking him to either protect him or to just buffer off the truth if it's too much stuff. And the buffering, he's fighting the buffering because he just wants to know the truth, as he should have access to his own information. And the book is a way of disclosing this truth and allowing it to come out, but in a safe way. So this was buffering him, I guess, to because he had to take in so much information in a short time. There's not much time here. This is
right,
being done in such a quick way that everything has to be prepared, and
correct.
he has to assimilate everything so quickly, and take in the info because it's for his stuff that he's doing for his projects. So there's just a time factor, and he did the best he could.
Well, I salute the gentleman. It's not easy. Well, he's a warrior through and through. I know he's not unaccustomed to hardship. So this is good. This is the result of the best efforts. And so it's an honor to be part of this.
Hmm. And then we get into what I presume is the clone stuff. He asks, how did I end up running a ship with three separate altars, all existing and interacting with each other all at once? What was the origin of that, and what were the circumstances leading up to its inception?
Yes, it's a replication of the original vessel plus light body. And so one may ask, rightfully so, about the soul. What does the infinite soul do? And this occurs surprisingly frequently, where the soul is up to the game, it wants to play. And so, essence, the same essence animates those bodies. And of course, there are cases where the soul says, oh, absolutely not, where the clone fails. This is one of the cases where the soul was absolutely up to the adventure. And so there is a joyful participation with the energy and the codes of the soul, filling in the blanks and initiating corrections where the replication is not perfect. So these clones are um, virtually perfect. And again, there is no perfect. The virtual perfection means that there are subtle differences between each of these beings. But yet those qualities that are highly favored are present in all of them. So it's a really nicely done job, done with great mastery, with, may I add, with awareness of the spiritual technologies or principles required here. There's a negotiation involved where the original being is consulted. It is not done without consent. And so free will is not violated here. It is one of those things where, with the permission of all aspects of the being, from the infinite soul and the divine realm down to the physical level, where biological samples are provided, this is done willingly. And so the individual is on board. They understand the reasoning behind the need for more of themselves. In fact, it's kind of interesting, amusing. Now, the three of them being in one place must be one hell of a mission to require this type of concentrated force of that type in one location in time, space, and consciousness.
It's on the same ship. They're
Same
they're
ship.
at
Oh, yeah.
they know each other.
Yeah.
So, and they play the role of the commander and the logistics, the three of
Yeah.
them on this ship. So I was following them around. I was seeing their active missions
Yes.
in real time. This is not in the past, it's real time missions that they have performed and just getting to know their history as well. The back end of what makes them them. That's what I saw in their missions. And that fit all in a huge book.
Yes. Yes.
So we're going to look at the first commander. His name is the male Marrek.
Yes.
And so the first set of questions is about Marrek. What does Marrek see when he looks in a mirror outside the simulation?
There is the knowingness at a very deep and fundamental level of the history of the soul, the absolute excitement of all that has been seen and done and achieved, the victories, but also the failures and defeats, comrades and friends lost over a very, very long time. We're talking about 2,300 or so years here. And so this is something that is unique because the memories are intact at some level. Unlike natural incarnation and reincarnation, where the physical body is different, and so there's no physical memory within the, let's say, um, the neuroanatomy. There are no networks holding memory, so that there's not any presence of this information in the body. In this individual, this is not the case. So the memory in the form of the events, pictures, smells, sounds, the knowingness, the emotional content, and the age-old wisdom are present. Although in some aspects this may be suppressed artificially, but the conscious mind is just a very, very small portion of the entirety of consciousness. And so looking in the mirror, all this would come bubbling to the surface and then being suppressed at the last moment.
What emotions does he suppress when issuing lethal orders?
Certainty, um, the sequence of cause and effect, the rewards of victory, and the terrible cost of failure has been observed and fully understood and deeply integrated at all levels. There is a almost mechanical precision to this, not out of ignorance, but quite to the contrary, out of full understanding. It's come down to a fine art how to do this, to install courage in those who are receiving the command. Even if that recipient is the self, how to calm the nerves and dampen any sort of fear, hesitation, pain, discomfort, and so on. And this is one of the qualities unique in this being, to such a degree where it merits the cloning. The clones are about 150 years old each, as we are speaking.
What is the oldest memory Marrek has that wasn't part of mission data?
Life by the beach as a boy, um, being naughty, observing rituals of the priesthood. Um, and this is Greece, it's the Mediterranean. So somewhere around the Mediterranean, I'm not sure now if this is Greece or the other side, Egypt or Algeria, but it's Greece. The skin is dark, so Mediterranean boy observing that which he was not supposed to. and getting drawn in, because as he was caught, he showed boldness. So he wasn't executed, he was brought in. And this is about 2 millennia ago. The vessel has undergone all types of modification in this long time. Of course, you can imagine the amount of damage that this vessel has received is insane. It's too much. And so repair has been conducted at all levels. 80% of the soft tissue is not original. So with reconstruction of the body, all types of changes and upgrades could be done along the journey.
What is the symbol he sees in dreams that he can't decode?
The symbol is a gateway. It doesn't just represent a ideology or a faction, or let's say a group of comrades. It's a gateway. Let's look into it. I'm getting triangles and diagonal lines in the middle of it. It's a set of commandments, so to speak, ethical and logical laws of conduct. One of the very early imprints conducted to beings like him. He's the last of his kind. None of the others survived quite so long, but it's a very ancient form of imprinting types of compulsory behavior, laws of conduct. So this is, it has remained, it has lasted with him. It's very, very old.
When does the command voice in his head not sound like his own?
Never. It's very effective because most people within the majority of their life have internal dialogue, inner speech or covert speech. It's the sound of our mind. And so if instructions can be presented and given using the same internal speech mechanism, it is highly effective. After all, it is our own idea, isn't it? And so this is the mechanism used. It's one's own internal voice. It is not a different voice. It makes it much easier for the rest of the organism to accept it.
And Marrek has the ability of a commanding voice that when he gives leadership orders, they're followed because it's a wave frequency in his voice of command. He's like the alpha commander.
Yes. It is not just about the vocal cords. It is very much so an energetic property, that of a leader that leads from the front. Follow me. It's not an instruction to go ahead while I sit back and watch. It is example. It is leading by example, installing confidence, and bringing to the surface all the right emotional and energetic qualities.
It's a psychic projection as well.
Yes.
So it's heard in multiple ways.
It's heard and it is effective in all the right ways with the purpose of warfare. Very effective type of leader. Now, usually such souls, when they are reincarnated, they still have the same qualities, starting from usually humble beginnings, but absolutely earning the respect of everyone around them. So there is no question about the merit and the capability of such a being. Now, in this case, the original body is intact. Back with the initiation of Drago's membership, soul tracking, although possible, but was not easy. One born in Greece 2,000 years ago would be born again after 400 years in China. How would they get hold? And so the preservation of the original vessel was possible. That was the approach taken. Nowadays, there's greater monitoring of what soul is going where and where they're born and what they're going to do. So the original body is less important. Drago is a example of a very ancient type of super soldier.
What core moment broke him and reshaped his leadership style?
Broke him? Nothing broke him. He is unbroken in the sense that he was able to flex and bend when the force was powerful, for the force to come and pass, for him to stand up tall again. So there is absolutely adaptability, but never accepting of defeat. There's strategy there's a deep strategy in survival and perseverance, meaning that even membership in these programs has not broken him. We see this in the human version that is with us now, bringing the possibility of this information finally coming out to the surface, despite many, many levels of opposition and suppression.
All these three clones, the programs try to dismantle them and wipe out their memories and core existences, yet they always rise like the phoenix from the ashes and the fire and remember who they are, because their backup codes are on the soul essence, on the psychic quantum field.
Precisely. It is out of reach of every single type of program. This is built into the soul, preserved out of the boundaries of this universe. We did some healing work together regarding the crystalline structure of the soul at the multi-universal level. And that's not the end of it. That is still a tiny aspect of the infinite soul. So in that location, or let's say in that scale, where the soul is multi-universal, it is untouchable. And so that perseverance, which has been earned by graduating through the lessons and hardships of many universes, that is very much intact. That cannot be compromised. It can only be negotiated with. And so the soul absolutely seeks excitement and novel experiences and adventure and rites of passage. And so that is what has made this possible. It's not in the flesh and bones or the energetic structure of the body. It is very much so a soul thing.
How often does he question his true origin?
With every breath. It's nonstop. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? What time is it? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? So it's ongoing. He would benefit massively from completing the Kuji-Kiri system, which will give him the answer. Unifying all the shards in this universe and this cluster of universes, anything related to the programs, back to a unified, let's say, organic or divine type of shard. Purging all the nonsense, all the implants, all the fracturing, suppression, and control.
What part of Marrek's his command training caused the deepest trauma?
The loss of innocent life, collateral damage. This is true for every divine being. And this never gets easier or less painful. It burns just the same 2,000 years after. And so one of the things that would probably be a undesired side effect of living quite so long is the accumulated effect of this loss of innocence, especially those that are close to us, people we have love for. This happens so often in any war. Now imagine 2,000 or so years of this. That is the worst of it. Because this type of being is not numb. This being is not psychopathic. Quite to the contrary, there is very, very deep empathy. That empathy or being empathic is one of the first gifts that comes online. It's the window to consciousness. And so they feel very deeply. That cannot be suppressed, neither through mind control, nor through implants, nor through drugs. That is the most difficult thing.
What is his greatest unspoken fear about the crew?
He sees everyone under his custodianship and care as one of his. And so wasting their life, wasting their vital energy and not reaching the objective. So the waste of human life, that is frustrating. Dare I say, invoking the emotion of fear. Now, if they succeed in what they have set out to do, loss is something that is a constant. The entire crew and the entire ship, and himself also in many cases, they go in guns blazing and no one comes out, and then they pick up the pieces and bring him back. But getting blindsided, being foolish, falling into an ambush, and losing everyone without getting it done, that is unacceptable.
Has Marrek ever disobeyed a kill order and why? This is rhetorical as this is me on a core level, but would be cool to answer nonetheless. Nevertheless.
Of course, there are qualities of strategy in this being. And as it goes in every domain, sometimes leadership is given to fools. And so a command to execute a prisoner without extracting vital information is very overtly rejected without hesitation. And this comes with millennia of experience that no, oh, no, we don't do that. So there's no crusade. There's an objective which makes sense in every level. There is strategy, and need be there is aggression, but there is not wastefulness. The wasting of the life of an innocent, which is standing by without involvement, is not something that this being will abide by. Many in the position of power have learned this the hard way. And so they very, very quickly become the enemy if they insist. Consequences be damned.
What species or consciousness oversees Marrek without his knowledge?
Seems these species have come and gone. So there's not just a singular one. Starting from dimension 9, they're the mantids observing the genetic code of this being from the organic birth, but also from previous incarnations. Please keep in mind, this soul is what it is. It is its nature to be a leader. So involvement in warfare, military command. It goes way back to the first incarnation. As far as I can see, 150,000 years ago. Initial, let's say, quote unquote, Earth-based or Earth-involved beings are the Anunnaki. Of course, then there is a treaty between the Anunnaki and reptilians. So reptilian involvement. Let's come forward in time, around of the time of Atlantis. Then it's given to human handlers, the priesthood in Lemuria. Mighty protector of the domain. Most of these lifetimes, there is voluntary involvement. Sometimes there is, however, deception. That usually does not work well. Sooner or later, this soul finds out the truth, and then it's payback time. So there's a large dossier or record of how to deal with or how to correctly interact with this being. At certain stages, because of the necessities of the type of work that is being done, there is voluntary amnesia with very, very strict conditions towards reintegration of the memories. This has been violated in the recent few cycles, including this 2,000-year cycle. And so payback time is approaching, I would imagine.
And I saw that in the remote viewing because Marrek's memories, deltas and alphas were scrubbed completely. Some of it was voluntary, some of it was not. And so it's a fight for memories, for getting back their memories.
This type of soul gets infuriated with deception. It is seen as a sign of inferiority. It evokes great rage, but not out of control aggression, however. It kickstarts a process of purging and cleansing, down to the last one involved. There's something about honor. So honor in battle. There are certain do's and don'ts very strictly observed in all levels. And so this is a property of the soul. This type of soul is usually an instrument of balance. Any universe they enter and then leave is going to be better for it. And so it doesn't matter if it is light that has been purged or shadow. The end result is greater balance, which benefits the highest good of all. So it's kind of a big picture thing. And so in this universe, again, seems that the darkness or the evil has spread way beyond balance. And I think Drago's job is just getting started. So involvement in these types of projects would give him first-hand experience and information. So the knowledge is not second-hand. This is very important. The consequences of the decisions then are on him, and he does it with great conviction. It is the right thing.
And what I saw was the cleanup and the reckoning process of all of this happening.
Agreed.
As it unfolds.
Agreed. Now, of course, with such a soul, this unique type of warrior, and there is a place for this in the divine order of things, this type of soul will take out the worst of the worst. So those that through deception and dishonor manage to avoid normal purges and acts of balance built into the universe, certain beings will take hostages. For example, taking humanity hostage. And so therefore a more surgical and precise type of approach is needed towards balance. This is where a soul like this will come in.
What scent or sound triggers his unwanted flashbacks?
That is purely an associative process. Any of the senses could have this effect. A certain type of perfume, sitting in a cafe and hearing the china clink. Each of these can open up formerly suppressed memories, bringing them powerfully to the surface. So there are many of them acquired through repetition, times of joy and times of hardship. The type of sound you specifically asked, let me have a look. Now, what I am getting is a Georgian hymn. Listening to it, this is very beautiful, but it does have, it acts as a key, a certain type of specific code, unlocking a very specific type of compartmentalized set of properties. So a Georgian hymn, that kind of, or maybe you would hear this in a church, religious kind of so soothing to even a child. So that's the kind of thing I'm getting, general properties. Of course, in the last level, which is my mind translating the information, it's coming out in this way of describing. But that's the general sense of it. Music, music, hymns, something that is soothing.
Is his identity entirely original, or was it curated from handlers or programmers?
By very necessity, a great modification was done to the vessel in different events, depending on different missions. The purging of critical information from the physiological structure, memories in the brain. These can be, the networks holding the memory can be broken up. So under interrogation, there is no information to divulge. But this type of limiting is also done with non-physical implants, and going all the way, in this case, to dimension 7. And then, of course, it's at the choice of who is doing the reintegration, of how much of it to return. Now, regardless of this, all of it is stored in the multi-universal aspect of the soul. So all in all, the physical and energetic structure of the body, the physical body and the light body, have undergone almost total reconfiguration. It's not the original, other than DNA pretty much. So the whole thing has been renewed many times over, but the experience of this and the wisdom gained is with the soul. This being just needs to reconnect to that aspect and download the whole thing.
What emotion does he feel but cannot identify?
Infinite joy. Infinite joy, because coming here, especially getting entangled into 3D Earth, it's like winning the lottery. Many, many beings are aware of this incredible, crazy, insane, harsh game going on, and not all of them naturally gain entry. Some are privileged. They are created here. But the visitors have to be spectacular in order to be given entry. And so still there is this joy that, yes, even at this level of scrutiny and selection, I have been deemed worthy. And so this whole thing is an experience of a refinement and evolution for the soul that came here. So the underlying energy is joy and contentment. The wonders that have been observed are very uncommon in the cosmos. This is greatly valued and brings deep contentment and joy and satisfaction to the soul.
How many times has he died and come back unaware?
Most of them, or let's be more specific, where the injury takes out the head and the heart, but they can be reconstructed. There are mechanisms of backup before missions. The memories are stored for the event of injury or catastrophic injury, which disintegrates the nervous system. Now, the physical and energetic parts of the vessel can be reconstructed, but they are reconstructed to a very high standard towards the backup. And so certain memories are lost. A number of days or weeks after the backup, they are not there. But then there are other mechanisms of recording information, taking logs, notes, mission notes, and so on that can be then studied. And the being is brought back to full awareness. But this happens frequently. Type and number of such events 53 times in the past 2,000 years. This being has lost its head, but brought back quite nicely.
And sometimes he accesses the lost memories between the backup through the quantum field, like what I was able to access him through. He can access those lost memories that way as well, because that can't be erased unless the soul is totally destroyed. Then it's gone. But if the soul is intact, the energy of the soul, you can access those memories always through the quantum field. That can't be destroyed or manipulated.
That is correct. So even that level of the soul, so down the scale of illusion and division from source, even the next level up from physicality, which is the multi-universal aspect, that cannot be reached from within a single universe. So unless something that is equally evolved takes that part out, the memories are intact. But please consider there is yet higher aspects of the soul. And so that holds the entirety of it, ultimately going back to source, which holds the entirety of all there is. So nothing is lost, but gaining access from a point, for example, being incarnated in a human body all the way up, that requires dedication in healing, purification, and remembering. So that wouldn't be quite automatic all the way up, but accessing that element of the soul that is multi-universal right at the gates of an individual cluster of universes, that can be done relatively quickly. And so over time, this being would have been exposed to a great variety of spiritual practices, not being interested in the woo-woo, but absolutely being interested in what works. Elite warriors throughout time are aware of the benefits of spiritual practice and bringing online their extrasensory gifts. It gives them an edge in battle, sharper reflexes, faster healing, precognitive abilities, remote viewing, and so on. And so this wonderful being is not an exception. So regaining memories and some quite impressive spiritual gifts that come and go is one of the properties of this being.
How many total years has he served as Marrek in total years, including time travel?
2,000. With the clones, 2,300.
Is Marrek able to open time travel portals and create Star Gateway portals?
Yes. Yes.
Is that his unique ability as Marrek and also as Drago in this human incarnation?
No, no. The portal technology is in point and fact, quite common. After empathy, which is almost universal, even animals have this, then going to the level of sentience of a human being, portal technology seems to be one of the natural gifts that we have. So this is very common, especially in dream time. This is fully demonstrated, where we travel through the cosmos without limitation. So it's not unique to him. Healing abilities sometimes require a certain type of body to fully emerge. Telekinesis and teleportation in physicality, these are the more unique things that this being can do.
And Drago himself in this current human incarnation, can he naturally build Star Gateway portals and teleportation as energetic ability and go through portals?
Further remembrance is required. He needs to let himself free. The short answer is yes.
And has Drago in his human incarnation battled reptilians and defended Earth against reptilian invasions?
Yes. Yes. There is a result of this effort over the centuries, where certain treaties were signed that very, very strictly and severely limited what the reptilians and the Anunnaki could do. This didn't happen with polite language. Battles were waged, and after every level of defeat, they conceded to ever greater limitation. And so at this present time, only the most ancient thinkers amongst the pirate species that interact, I call them the frickin' pirates, the species that interact with humanity in a harmful way, in a self-serving way. Only the most ancient strategists have survived. Brute force is pretty much removed. So anything that had the audacity to face humanity in open battle is gone. And so now humanity is existing in the last stages of imprisonment, and it is a prison of the mind. No more physical chains and whips and branding and that stuff, although it does occur in certain parts of the world, but it is not as widespread as it used to be. It is very much so a prison of propaganda, of distortion, of belief systems, of the matrix. And this is about to be rolled out. So again, I go down a rabbit hole. Please forgive me, but the short answer is yes.
Mm. And how can the physical aspect of Drago in this human body get rid of the gray programming that's been influencing him half of his life and not allowing him to sleep or have rest and quiet?
The Kuji-Kiri. I've given it to him.
Mm.
I think he hasn't done it.
Yes, because there's soul shard splits in different time, trapped in different timelines of him. That's what doesn't allow the sleeping. It distorts his quantum field and it interferes with the human aspect of him.
Yes. So it is all possible. This is what a being like this does. And it is very much so his destiny. The collection of shards from a very large number of domains of consciousness into the true self. I'm of the understanding that the true mission hasn't yet even begun. This was all due diligence, doing the legwork, gathering of the ingredients, getting first-hand knowledge so deception becomes impossible. Nobody can tell him, no, it was this and this. He'll just say, oh, just shut up already. I was there. You see, there's a value to this, although it is hard and it is painful and it takes a long time, but this is how such things are done correctly. After all, what is 150,000 years in the age of a universe or the eternity of an infinite soul? It's done correctly, and this is the way it is done.
What would Marrek become without the fleet?
What would the fleet become without Marrek? You see, such a being does not require fancy tools to be magnificent. Drop him down with a leaf for underwear, like Adam and Eve, and he's going to build himself something really nice and cozy. Marrek is going to be okay.
He's very advanced. He can make tools. He can create any reality he wants and reshape reality itself. And that's what the fleet benefits from him because he has that
Precisely,
ability.
precisely. Now add military discipline and also equally effective mechanisms of mind control where there is no resistance to orders initiated by this being. Everybody is falling in line. There's no hesitation. There's no mutiny, so to speak. Everybody hears and immediately does. That will make for one effective unit.
What kind of guilt does he carry for lost lives under his command?
The guilt is from the smallest aspects, the human aspect. Of course, the deep empathy, the bonds of friendship, the trauma of betrayal and lost love. But then as we go up the scale of consciousness, greater understanding comes in that each and every one of these souls are participating willingly in this experience together. And although the face value of it may be unpleasant to the human mind, but there is greater gain and refinement and evolution resulting from it. It is an experience that has been coveted. And so these are doing acts of service towards one another. And so the human part suffers. The infinite soul basks in joy and satisfaction of a job well done, and then in between different aspects of this being experiences different levels of this, let's say, guilt or loss. Guilt comes with unfinished business, with unanswered questions, and so that is very much so a limitation of the human.
What happened the first time he felt love and was it erased?
Love is that essence that lies at the foundation of all creation. And so this being is not native to this universe. Love is a property of such a soul. And this cannot be erased. In fact, even in the smallest shards of our soul, for example, those shards that are reincarnated here on earth over and over, even at that level, love is one of the only things that we keep from each incarnation. It cannot be erased.
Great. Start recording and I'll share the screen as yesterday and we'll start. All right. So cap record. Hi, it's Ileana, and today we have Dr. Amir with us again for part 2 of Drago Reid's remote viewing session. How are you, Amir?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to a really amazing session.
Me too. I'm just going to start sharing the screen. Can you see that?
Yes, yes, of course.
Beautiful. So today we're doing part 2 of Drago's remote viewing, and we're going to focus on, for this part, on Delta, which is the female clone that's on the craft with the other 2 commanders. So whenever you're ready, let me know.
Yes, please, let's begin.
Mm-hmm. So who was Delta before her trauma experience?
So this being by nature is a manifestation of divine wrath, but righteous anger and wrath could be exemplified in the energy that describes Mother Kali. It is the energy that comes to rage, saying that you do not mess with my children. So there are certain qualities with this energy. It does not harm innocence. It does not create war. And yet for protecting that which is pure and precious, nothing is withheld. And so through trauma, there was an attempt at fracturing some of the primary qualities of this energy in order to bring it under control.
What image or images flashes just before Delta enters overkill mode?
It's of the nature of loss. And so that will bring up powerful vengeance. Images showing the death of innocent children, for example, that it is now all done and over, and those that this being faces are the ones that have perpetuated this injustice. And then this goes into the consciousness moves towards a zone of destruction then.
Why were children killed?
It's in order to evoke a sufficiently powerful emotional and energetic response. So that is the purpose. It's that button that can be pushed over and over.
And were these children special in any way? Like, why were they killed? Like, what was behind the situation?
Storylines can be implanted with methods used by these programs. So, for example, these could be the children of the person, but also of the extended family, just to make the emotional trigger that much more potent. So it's not impersonal. And so it's carefully choreographed to take advantage of the righteous wrath of the divine feminine in this being. But then through distortion, trauma, and the implantation of a fictitious storyline, bringing that quality under control, so to speak.
So children might not have necessarily physically been killed, but it's like an implanted
Implant,
memory.
correct.
Mm-hmm. What color is Delta's internal sky when she isn't activated?
It goes from ultraviolet to deep purple to complete black. The color
I
of the
was
divine void.
I was also getting purple.
Yes, yes. Beings of the void are all twin flame to one another. So it makes sense that you would also be picking up the same thing. The eternal home.
What part of her programming causes her physical pain?
The trauma itself is transient. So this is an uncomfortable and painful process in many levels. But after this is completed, there is fictitious pain or illusory hazard. And this is common amongst all of us, that often the fear of pain and the worry about hazard is much worse than the pain and the hazard itself. So a way towards liberating this being is for her to face it, Now, this is done in states where the body and mind are very, very open and susceptible to programming. And so it takes root in the depths of consciousness. It goes beyond a regular level of bravery, which by all means this being possesses. But again, the fear of it and the fiction of the hazard is much worse than the pain and the hazard itself. This is
Mm.
constant.
Who is the child she sees in her dreams?
The child is herself, or a residual memory of the initial stages of maturation, perhaps even another implanted memory of a childhood, a happy childhood, because cloning would be involved. The body would be at maturity, so about age 20. And this process happens quickly in a number of months, much shorter than a regular organic pregnancy. Talking about probably 3 months, 10 to 12 weeks. And so during this time, the mind is interfaced with, and the programming of personality, language, motor skills, combat skills, theory of self, of the environment, different types of behavioral protocol, and so on. They're already implanted. So when the being comes out of the artificial womb, where the embryo is grown from single cell, it hits the ground running. So again, there is no flesh and blood child involved in the maturation of this clone. So it's another one of these, but related to self. And so this is a crisis of identity, causing paradoxes in different levels of cognition, coming to the dream state as the soul shard is, as the grips of the body on the soul shard are loosened during the dreaming time. This is the paradox that keeps coming up. It cannot be reconciled. So one of the problems with this type of cloning.
Mm-hmm. So I guess she's accessing everything that was the original child, that was her, and the clone is accessing those memories.
None of these memories have transpired in any domain of reality, including physicality. The entirety of it is downloaded information. And so, even at this stage of advancement, the brain computer interfaces, but also the nature of the codes and programs that are implanted within the psyche are not perfect. And so these drones run the risk of early onset of psychosis, as these programs cause catastrophic paradoxes. And so it takes a very, very strong soul to maintain self-control and avoid this. But again, as a leaky dam, parts of this built-in paradox makes it to the surface at different layers.
It's like the analogy, you have a drone and it gets programming and it does its functions perfectly. But if the program is removed, the drone can become self-sentient sometimes, and it could form new programming and new memories and abilities. Same with these clones. Programs download, but they override them, but they have residual memories and they try to get back the memories of their original selves. And sometimes this mixes up so much together, it's hard to know what's the real reality of who they were and who they are, and what's the program downloads of what the programs want them to have as memories of being children or whatnot. Is it something like that?
Yes, yes. These clones are, it is known that these clones do not have great longevity. So there are different reasons for them to break down. Imperfections in the physical body that is grown at such a rate. This sometimes results in catastrophic organ failure, or sometimes as catastrophic cellular level failure. Also, we just mentioned the reasoning behind cognitive implosion or psychosis. Now it seems that this individual being has great healing abilities, and the soul is powerful, compensating for something that would take down any other type of being. But this is not a happy, healthy individual. There's constant discomfort from different types of unexplainable physical pains to images and thoughts coming to the surface that sometimes are impossible to control. So regular maintenance is required. It's not like a normal human being that can just eat healthy and do a regular workout and sleep well and just go on for decades. Routine maintenance is absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm. When did Delta first question her orders, and what were the circumstances?
First moment that she opened her eyes, and nothing has changed. And so she's known to have a fiery attitude, as in things are not commanded by compulsion, they are explained. Again, despite the best efforts to suppress the essence of this soul in this form, which is an embodiment of righteous divine wrath, that seems to be unshakable. And so sometimes this becomes very volatile. So there is probably one person that can get across in the right energy and temperament to explain what is going on, and then politely request voluntary cooperation. So all those methods of control and limitation, they have failed. And yet there is that, let's say, appetite for adventure and glory that often results in willful cooperation. There's an understanding of the greater good and why certain things are necessary. The role of this being is known by this wonderful being. So this seems to be a kind of unstable balance that is maintained with great effort and expense.
What memory was locked behind the glyph trigger?
The glyph, it seems to be ancient. This is in use with the original being, which is Drago in his original form, let's say early on, when there still remained components of the first body. Now, since the first, say, 2 or 3 centuries, that has been completely modified due to numerous injuries. The reconstruction wipes away any sort of physical and emotional memory. What remains is energetic, soul level memory. But the glyph is an ancient approach of indoctrination. Looking at this, it is imprinted through sleep deprivation. Very early on, and I'm speaking about the first 48 hours, the brain becomes toxic. The sleep, which purges the poison from the nervous system, accumulates. By day 5, this sort of mind control, or so to speak, breaking the person occurs. And that is where, through this glyph, a set of protocols are read and powerfully imprinted on the subconscious. It's a code of ethics, a code of honor, code of conduct. Now, with the original being having this imprint, it would only make sense to try to implement these codes, which are still used to this day, to the clone.
Mhm. What part of her body holds the oldest scar?
This would be um, the first two knuckles on the right hand, not the thumb, knuckle of index and knuckle of middle finger, as she punched through the glass, as she opened up her eyes for the first time and gained awareness.
I'm also getting there's something implanted under the armpits and in both legs. Augmentation, like skeletal augmentation.
Oh, there's plenty of that. That would be part of interfacing with a biomechanical suit. The implants go deep, um, not just plugging into the lymphatic system underneath the armpits, behind the knees, but also from the hips downwards through tiny punctures into the bone marrow. The blood is purified. So such a being would be able to breathe nerve gas, and the suit would, through the bone marrow, it would be able to very, very quickly purify the blood. There are lots of such implants and interfaces in this human.
Has she ever looked at her reflection and cried?
This is no regular cry. It's not a cry of sadness or a cry of joy. Um, it is somewhat terrible. It's just bringing despair and madness. It's one of those things that has the potential to trigger paradoxes, different programs coming in because the self-image is completely fictitious. And so the reflection in the mirror is something that this being would not enjoy.
I'm getting that she's a Banshee class asset, so when she cries or screams, it's like ripple effect. It can destroy ships, it can destroy matter, it can destroy it. So she's isolated. She's like in an isolation chamber that she is in because she can displace time, matter, and linear time itself when this happens to her. So it's like you said, she can create paradoxes or she could create time warps of reality and warp time and bend time. That's her ability. So it's good not to see herself in the mirror.
This is the highest level of violation of universal law and the dignity of life. Those with such limited knowledge of divine creation should not weaponize life like this. It is highly cruel and unethical. It is appropriate to initiate a comprehensive divine audit on everybody who has ever touched this technology. It
Mhm.
is an abomination.
Mm. And there's inertial dampeners on her body and soul field, so she can't really scream or cry like this unless she's being given kill orders. So it's like a kill switch that goes off. But sometimes she's had accidents with that ability, and the inertial dampeners failed, and there were breaches, time breaches on their ship, and there's a whole science and study behind that and research on that ship dedicated specifically to studying her and her abilities and how that works. because it's not a natural ability. It was a forced ability on her with nanotechnology.
Yes, this is very distasteful, very upsetting. Such a being never knows a moment of comfort.
And all of it is locked down, and all of it is released on orders. When it's kill orders, that's when that ability is activated, and it's very painful on the body.
Yes,
Never mind the mental aspect of the anguish when that rage and all that scream is released. Because it can kill, it kills instantly anything within its radius living, human, animal, or plant life or planet even is killed. That's how huge it is. Then it's locked up again when the missions are done. So it's not done with her will.
absolutely not. Um, and by the way, that is the key to liberation, because the soul has agreed to play along or participate. That is what gives this being ultimately all the gifts that are used for combat. And yet, this being is free from karma as free will is suppressed. So, it was a deception. The contract that was agreed upon with the infinite soul, and this is again blatant violation of spiritual law. So there's a priesthood involved, as there was with the original being, the original human 2000 years ago. These are degenerates. And so now, personally, that I have become aware of them, it is upon me to do something about it, and I shall. These must go. Enough is enough. I don't care what they use to justify their acts of violation and cruelty. No more. Towards the individual being, there is always a path to reach to the beloved source of all things and be purified of distortion, shackles, and limitation. For this being who entered with the greatest intentions, which is protection of the innocent, for that to be perverted in this way, it is a abomination, it is sacrilege.
So there needs to be healing and reconciliation on that aspect
There
at some
needs to be
point.
war. There needs to be war to finish what this soul started.
Okay. And
Bringing
how
in
can
Mother Kali and bringing in the Vajra-Kilaya, setting fire to the whole corrupt thing.
so can that be done with Drago in a separate session?
Absolutely. One of
Okay.
the most conclusive ways of healing is to go to the moment where certain damage is initiated and prevent it from ever being conducted. I think a visit to the original priesthood is in order.
So we'll have to set that up with Drago to get that done.
Yes,
Okay. So let's have a look at the rest of these wonderful questions. What phrase has haunted Delta from the Monarch scripts?
some sort of a nursery rhyme. Um, this is kind of, it's haunting. Although the original rhyme is not like a Baba black sheep or something like this. The original rhyme is quite benign, but then it is overlaid with images of spooky hallways where sound echoes, background of water leaking. So these things that over extended periods of time can break down the psyche. It's a very, very crude way, like using a corkscrew to perform brain surgery. It's not done with any sort of panache and delicacy. Very, very crude.
Hmm. What does she feel closest to and why? Who does she feel closest to and why?
The handler. Seems that there were many versions of handlers, were being the emphasis. One of them has a way of healing. The handler is a very, very powerful psionic who actually has compassion. The compassion is genuine. Each one of these interactions results in significant healing and soothing. And so the handler is not happy with the situation either. They're all good soldiers doing what they're told. Haven't we heard that before, over and over in history? But there is
And,
this bond of friendship and closeness to this individual.
and who is this handler? Is there a name, gender, identity?
Yes, male, obese, common male bald pattern, mustache, glasses, smokes like a chimney, strong body odor, short, about 160 centimeters, poor skin, extremely kind eyes. Through the eyes that he does his work. He gazes upon the recipient and washes over their light body with healing. Very powerful healer.
Yet he himself is in bad shape.
He's in terrible shape. In fact, there's a element of despair. If this being, the clone, is removed, he will give up. He's ready to give up.
And is he on the ship too with Delta or?
Constantly, he's part of the furniture.
Okay. How many versions of Delta exist?
Uh, Now, it seems with regards to Delta, the entire operation is sloppy, meaning they don't care if they leave aspects behind as long as they get the job done. So there is a possibility of taking backups and duplicating the being and leaving other versions behind. So clones of clones, versions of this being, including physical form. I'm getting 15 left behind. And energetically, about 300. Suicide missions, that's the only way to describe it. They take a copy, send the copy through, and shut the portal. And usually results in a victorious mission, but there's no extraction. The copy of the copy is not informed of this. And so there is a psychic bond between those copies and the original that's compounding the discomfort. Cannot go on like this forever.
What is the name she was born with before Delta? What's her origin?
This being was manufactured. So there is not a traditional father and mother that would give a name. There's just a code name. Before that, there's a project name. It's not the first attempt at cloning. 25 experiments. This is the only successful one. There's a code name to each one of the attempts. This is around experiment 17. They thought once they got the first one, they could do more. All the rest failed. The remaining 8 after did not come to maturation.
I'm getting the code names of Scion and Murg, Murg. What do those stand for?
Psychic instrument of death.
So that would be Scion, because it's like you grow the clone body and you send in specific soul shards and specific programming and specific death kill abilities. So that would be the Scion part. And Merg would be, I think, the specialized augmentation of the body.
These are
And
all basically extracted from different root languages, all with the same meaning. Psychic instrument of death,
mhm.
flying death, instant death, all this kind of stuff. So it's very sinister.
And that's connecting with the question of her origins. It's not natural.
No, 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 no. All of these are projects using cloning, um, the bastardization of spiritual knowledge to deceive the soul, to send a shard to play the game. Now, usually, the entirety of these incarnations are fully seen and understood by the soul. So, this is not the end of the story. The infinite soul gets the last laugh. Perhaps it was to bring this to the awareness of ones like us. So we shut it down.
And I just have residual memories of Delta looking at herself before I was in a male body now, and I'm in a female body, and just patting herself down. It's like a form has switched, a position has been changed. So she has awareness that she's been in other male bodies and not just female bodies. She understands that there's a concept of soul transference between the crew on the ship, between the two commanders and the Delta tactician that she is. So
It's
there's awareness.
impossible to prevent her from downloading, especially if she gets a moment of solitude and silence. This is going to happen quite naturally.
She'll go and investigate, and she'll go and retrieve memories, because she's not just a combat kill soldier, she's also a living being with free will. So she has autonomy.
Absolutely.
Hmm. So there's no strangeness between being in male and female bodies to her. It's not a foreign concept. She understands that soul transference is normal with this technology.
Quite frankly, she sees it as an upgrade. She thinks
Hmm.
the male form is sloppy, that she gets to do much more in the feminine physical form.
Easier to move, quicker jumps, higher speed, and just agility. It's like being a gymnast who can flip and flop and joints move left and right. It's like
Significantly better power to weight ratio.
it's like being able to throw 1,000 swords or 1,000 knives all at once at the speed of lightning and then some.
Oh, yeah. It's got a certain grace um, and harmony just built into the proportions of the physical body. The male body is built more for heavy lifting, let's just say, more crude warfare. In this vessel, it takes an artistic form.
Hmm. Yes, it's like a dancer zooming and killing at the same time.
Yes.
It's like a pirouette and a ballet and a Just a beautiful dance of killing. It's
Yes.
graceful.
Like most apex predators, every
Hmm.
move is graceful.
Her speed is beyond. You can't see it with the naked eye. She moves so fast, zooming. You see just a blur of something, but you don't even know what it is when she moves, and that's the agility of this body.
Yes.
Beyond the speed of light, beyond lightning, literally.
Yes.
What sensations trigger full dissociation for Delta?
It is auditory. This seems to be a very effective medium of triggering different conditions. Auditory, it's sound of a whistle or a flute, something high pitch. It's sort of like a shutdown. Um, a tin whistle, something like that, a simple melody, or even something like a dog whistle, single tone, a very unique frequency, and but it's not just one note to prevent accidental triggering of shutdown. So it's a key, but it's a sonic key, probably right at the limitations of the human auditory mechanism. Around 18, 19 kilohertz. So a variation of frequencies in this range. Difficult to hear, but it does the job.
I'm also getting electrical surges. Sometimes there's electrical shock at the exoskeleton level of the suit. It's like a jolt to the system to run the speed beyond the speed of light to run that way. But it could be activated with her psionic abilities to run that fast. But a jolt to the body gives advanced speed, but it also makes you tired and makes you want to sleep afterwards. So it's like a shutdown default.
The body is capable of just a certain amount of exertion. And so beyond that, it becomes permanently destructive. So the heart will fail, major muscles and organs will fail. But having advanced regenerative technology, this is not a big problem. And so
Mhm.
part of routine maintenance would be repairing muscle fiber. Uh, so they do push the body beyond the point of destruction through chemical and electrical stimulation.
like like shock surge of energy, and that
And
makes you
then some sort
faster.
of adrenaline pumped directly into the bloodstream, bringing up the heart rate to 300 beats per minute. It is catastrophic. Um, so, yes, there would be nosebleeds, the bursting of tiny blood vessels in the brain, also in the eyes, the ears. So, this is not something that would be done without a state of urgency. And so the body would be very badly damaged. Um, all the common side effects from a stroke. So this being would not be walking back home, it would be transported back on a stretcher.
And yet can be reassembled and ready to go the next day
Yeah, yeah,
because that's the advanced healing technology that they have.
yes. So having advanced healing technology means they can be even more ruthless.
Hmm. Does Delta know she's still human?
and more, and more. So over the years, there is a complete comprehension of everything that brought her into physical existence, including the spiritual contracts and all. And it seems that the adventure, the experience is precious. So there's a fragile truce, ongoing fragile truce. This being is independent despite attempts to bring her into a state of submission and control. They all have failed. And so as a result, the handler is the one that can present the case of the mission in a way that's more palatable and acceptable to her. And if she doesn't like it, God help whoever's on the wrong side of her wrath. So she's a wild card, used very, very selectively for difficult missions, suicide missions.
I feel she's very self-contained emotionally and doesn't emotionally show anything. But when the wrath comes forth, you don't see it coming. There's no emotional expression. There's no warning that you're about to be hunted, so
No,
to
nobody
speak.
knows. Nobody even knows they're dead. They're dead before they can register. She's fast, so nobody becomes aware of this, let's say, rage or explosion. Of course, it's recorded, monitored, and so there are logs of this, but the victims, those that are on the receiving end, they never have a clue. They never see it coming. They never feel it. So it's at least swift, like a jaguar. It's pretty quick. So yes, interesting being.
Self-contained, you don't see it coming. She doesn't prance, but she pounces and you're gone. That's it.
Pretty much, you don't even hear it or see it or register any pain. You're dead before you hit the floor.
She doesn't premeditate on how it will be done. She sees the sequence already in her head.
Correct, correct. It's automatic, like breathing.
hmm that's what makes her a good tactician.
Yep.
She's like the analyst of the crew, 5 steps ahead, 20 steps ahead, how somebody will go and die. She already knows.
Yes. With a mighty reputation. Nobody questions the orders, and they know better than to question. So first of all, the instructions turn out to be valid. Down the line, everybody sees the wisdom, but at the same time, nobody wants to piss her off.
No. There's no questioning what goes. If that must happen in that sequence of events for the kill, that's how it goes down because she can anticipate realities shifting and things changing and where it could be streamlined to get the job done correctly without any problems in the timelines. Self-correcting.
Yep.
That's a natural ability she has as a psionic. When was the last time she truly felt safe?
There is in there's a massive level of self-control. Uh, One of the reasons that this combination of uh, genetic properties and soul properties can be contained into one being. And so with that there is a great ability to suppress um, volatile emotions, physical pain, parasitic thought patterns. These are built-in defenses. And so there was an initial time of confusion and fear early on when the being opened up her eyes, uh, resulting in a explosion of volatility breaking through the chamber, coming out, screaming, not knowing what's going on. After that episode came down into a state of balance and self-control, this was pretty much constant. So it's been going on for the duration of the existence of this being. So this lady does not feel fear or, let's say, lack of safety. It's very, very suppressed.
She is the ultimate killing machine. And let's just say if you want Hara-Kiri done properly, you call her up to get sliced and diced or tied up or pretzel. You know, she's the pretzel lady.
She will cut you into exactly the same size of chunks and put you in a vacuum seal bag and put you in the freezer before you can say, oh no.
Or oh dear, what happened to me? My
Oh,
body
oh
parts
hell no, or something like that. Yes, yes.
my body parts are scattered throughout 10,000 galaxies and nothing can be retrieved ever again. If she wants to hide the bodies or chop it up and throw it out, it's gone. No trace left. Nothing. No molecules, no DNA, no nothing.
Yes, it's done correctly.
Either expertly preserved for study for body parts or expertly incinerated and completely gone without a trace. Either or can be done. She's good at it.
Now, this lady has not have had a presence on Earth, if I'm not mistaken. The entirety of her lifespan has been on vessels, on different ships and different worlds. They would not want her to mix with the general public. So the original being, which is Drago, has memories of living on Earth, being born on Earth, many different, let's say, um, retirement phases, rest and recuperation phases, and so on, but not the clone. It's not native to Earth. It is completely technologically created, of course, with the agreement of the soul, which granted a shard for this being, which is also enriching the soul through all the adventures. Um, but yes, no visitations to, let's say, Las Vegas. That's not happening.
Oh, she's not interested in money or gambling or
No.
any of that fun weirdness. She is centered, she's focused, mission driven, and quite different from most beings. Vegas would just be boring to her, let's just say. It's not a thrill.
Yeah. Well, considering what she does on a daily basis, of course, yeah.
How many of her kills were fully autonomous?
You mean outside of the boundaries of a mission?
Outside, inside, both.
So all of the advanced combat skills, the strategy, or let's say the protocols or algorithms for this are built in, they are part of the being. But if you mean autonomous, as in it happens and then the conscious mind says, oh no, what have I done? None of them. There's no hesitation. It's kind of impressive how the whole thing is aligned. There's the spiritual aspect merging with the physical body and the emotions, not just the brain, but there are other supplementary implants making the cognitive function of this lady many orders of magnitude faster. So there's always a knowledge and a understanding of why this occurs.
And she does have priority kill lists. Okay, say rapist, pedophile. There's a category. If
And
it,
that's a soul thing. That's a soul thing. As in, these beings are an abomination. Let's take care of them.
they're first on the priority list because they're the most heinous. So
Hmm.
they're out quickly. And the priority list goes down the road, top to least, top most important to least most important. It all gets done, but she has priorities.
It makes sense. A perfectly logical mind. Yeah.
Hmm. What would she do if the chains of control were gone?
Oh, she would do what the Lyrans did, the Urma, become a peacekeeper. Probably that's where she'll end up. She's um, she is way too much in many senses for the backward civilization of Earth. She requires a more evolved and enlightened community so that she can live with dignity and peace. I think the Orma are a good uh, class of hosts because they're also similar by many, many aspects or attributes to her. Highly evolved warriors, no nonsense, and they're out for the highest good of all, peacekeepers. They don't care who they have to take on, they just get it done. Yes, I think that would be a good solution. I think she will agree with me.
Oh, well, she has so much control. Even if the chains of control were gone, she's still in control. She's not going to go ballistic or supernova. She's just going
Correct.
to be calm and find a different outlet for her abilities instead of killing. Why not negotiate and make it diplomatic and still be cunning? And if somebody has to be taken out behind the scenes once in a while, once upon a time, no biggie. We'll just take care of it, you know? If they don't negotiate, if they don't do diplomacy, if they're heinous but they put on an act, we'll just get rid of them quietly. It's still an option on the table.
Now, this being, uh, if she has access to the medical technology that is needed for the periodic repair of the body, will live for a very, very long time, thousands of years. And so, therefore, after this secret program is taken out of existence from all history, a career as a bounty hunter or peacekeeper, yes, that will suit her really nicely.
And she's not worried about body part replacements because she knows replacements are on hand. So that's not an issue for her in battle. Something gets hacked off or removed, it will be replaced, regenerated, or bionically added on. She's had so many of these fixes done at this point, it's natural and normal.
Yeah, agreed.
Very tough, very self-contained, very resourceful. She can build any weapons she wants out of anything. Whatever she sees, that's a potential weapon. She knows how to implement stuff and put it together.
There also is a possibility of choosing complete solitude, um, going on to um, a world or an environment where she's the only sentient being, lots of life, but not messing with her, so she can meditate and evolve. At least
Hmm.
that would be a good period of healing and rebalancing after all this.
Well, and
And
she also
then,
she sees probabilities where there are none and how to make things happen. Sorry, I interrupted. What were
no,
you about to say?
of course. So, yes, along the same lines, seeking peace and greater evolution of the soul shard. What an interesting first life. And so, of course, coming into the reincarnation cycle on Earth is out of the question. Um, why would you go for such a downgrade? So perhaps seeking the light of evolution from the beloved source in solitude. All these abilities will accelerate spiritual development, perhaps out of this, evolving out of physicality altogether. So that's something that now thinking about this possible timeline, that is something that the infinite soul would go for, despite the discomfort and all the violations and abuse of universal law and spiritual law that have gone on. The ability to come into physicality and evolve out of it, that is most certainly something very, very unique. And so the soul would love to have that achievement under its belt. Maybe
And
that's the way to go.
yeah, she's very classy and organized. It would be below her energetically to come to Earth. Nothing against Earth and incarnation. It's special here, but it's just below her soul evolution.
Now, all and all, looking at the fruits of the actions of this being, there is a balance, or an element of balance, slightly skipping or slipping towards the scale of benefiting the highest good of all. Those that have been taken out absolutely had it coming. So the initial soul property of harming no innocence, this has been observed throughout. And so it's like two different factions of the mob or a cartel, two different cartels going to war. Ultimately, she was very good and continues to be very good at what she does. But those that have been taken out were bloody awful. And so, all in all, there is the service to the highest good of all, meaning that her evolution as a soul is not impeded.
Hmm. She takes the most heinous monsters out of the program, out of commission, out of the program itself, of life itself. Just the
Right?
heinous. It's the wet works. If it needs to go and the blood needs to be spilled, it,
Absolutely.
it goes.
Absolutely. There is just so much that can be done purely energetically. The physical domain has its own sluggishness or impedance. That sequence of cause and effects is sometimes way too long. Many beings get out of dodge before it hits them. And so there is absolutely a need for beings like this in this domain.
And she's good at organizing the cleanup crews. If you need a quick extraction and a cleanup crew and a wipeout of whatever, her crew is very efficient or she can organize that with the crew, and they're out and deployed, and it's done so quickly nobody sees it coming and they're gone.
Done correctly. Yes.
She's that efficient. She's very methodically efficient. If you need it done, it's done in 5 minutes or less, and 5 minutes to spare before the countdown is complete. Ethical and efficient and very clean, precise.
Yes, yes, yes.
There's no sloppy seconds left behind for anything to
The,
be
the, the,
detected or
the
seen.
opposite of Tarantino movies. No blood splatter everywhere. No, very clean. Yes, yes, yes.
If there was if there was any blood splattered or left behind, it'll be cleaned up so fast there's no evidence left. So she's that kind of a gal. It's very methodically completed.
Oh, yeah.
No trace. There's nothing to find here. There's no evidence. You can't pin it on us. We were never here. We didn't do it. So that's kind of what makes her so special on these missions. Very interesting being.
Now I'm looking for her equivalent to what cheesecake is to me. So that she requests it to be delivered. Something sweet. I'm getting strawberries, but not the fruit. So strawberry flavored candy or lollipop or something like that. She's going to lose her mind. So yeah, like a massive box or crate full of strawberry lollies or something like that. That would make her happy.
Excellent. Energetically sending her lollies.
Yes, strawberry lollipops. Oh yeah.
She deserves it for all the hard work that she does.
Oh yeah.
Wow, what a being.
Oh yeah.
I think we did good for today.
Agreed. 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 We can leave the other aspect, the other being, for our next session.
Yes, definitely. Well, I'm going to stop sharing.
Hey, there you are.
There I am. Excellent. Wow. Again, so high energy octave, like huge, so very huge.
Amazing. Really amazing. Uh, the souls that are migrants. So they're already multi-universal, coming here for the adventure, uh, quite naturally through um, organic incarnation. Souls like this have many, many aspects. And then, of course, if there is a technological, or let's say fabricated vessel available, sometimes they just say, oh, yeah, why not? So, clones, or let's say um, artificial intelligence bodies like that, that could take a soul shard, they say yes. A very interesting example of this. Now, special bodies means special adventures and special outcomes, evolving out of physicality in one single lifetime. Oh, yeah.
And they have very intense energies, so spending sufficient time on each one is important. Because we're scanning everything in them. So it's like it's intense energetically.
Oh, yes.
So that's why we're doing this in portions like this, so the audience can understand a bit better.
Of course. And also, it's kind of um, beyond the level of difficulty for just remote viewing a place or an object. There are barriers in place. So we need to kind of get around them or through them or bypass them. That makes it a little bit more taxing. Uh,
Hmm.
so I get sleepy and I get hungry, not in that order. So, or maybe at the same time.
Yeah, so about an hour for each
Yeah, that seems
aspect is
perfect.
good.
Seems perfect.
So thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much for the opportunity, and to be continued. I look forward to our next adventure.
Me too. See you
Yeah,
tomorrow.
thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye. And I'm going to start sharing. We'll do alpha today. There. Can you see that?
Yes, yes, clearly.
Perfect. And I'm going to, okay. So I need to more record. Oh, first introduce you. Ah, yeah, I forgot. First introduce you. Do that part
Okay.
first, then share. Okay, so I'm gonna start recording. Sorry. Hi, I'm with Amir today again. How are you, Amir?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. and I'd like to welcome our esteemed audience. I hope everybody's doing well and that they find our conversation and remote viewing project beneficial and informative.
Excellent. So I'm going to start sharing the remote viewing. And today we are doing Alpha, the male clone. Okay. Excellent. So whenever you're ready, we can start on Alpha 1.
Okay, let's begin.
Who does Alpha 1 serve truly?
So, tuning into the consciousness of this individual through the signature energy of Drago. And this time, I want to be more courteous and go through a polite introduction, connecting to Alpha 1. Okay, great awareness, multidimensional aspects are active. And so, greetings and wishes of joy and health and victory and evolution. So it becomes more like a conversation. Okay, so there's a deep ingrained sense of responsibility within this being and a focus on the highest good, incorporating as many aspects and point of views as possible from the immediate third, fourth, and fifth dimension, but also to higher aspects of consciousness and how the byproducts or consequences of actions and choices affect the expanded cosmos. And so certain things need to get done, and in doing them, there is difficulty and perhaps challenge or harshness, but that is something that this being is not afraid of doing. So the service is to the highest good, something that would go against the moral and spiritual beliefs of this individual will not be accepted. And so there is a list of events where this individual has not volunteered because the side effects or the consequences of certain types of mission would be harmful. So the types of mission that are resulting in a violation of the sovereignty and dignity of beings that are of the light, that are evolving according to the divine plan, are not accepted. Acts of mass murder or genocide are not accepted. Theft of resources where it would result in a significant diminishment of quality of life and the chance to progress and evolve, these are not accepted. So the service, first and foremost, but also through the list and last, is to the highest good of all. So there's a deep sense of morality within this being, and that is the highest objective.
And I don't feel that he truly serves anyone, but he has responsibility and connection to the other two clones and to the crew on the ship. So he works with them in equality and respectability, but there's no one he truly serves.
Yes, yes, a warrior priest. I think Drago likes to describe me thus, but this aspect of him, this individual, this sovereign and separate individual, is kind of a blend between my energy and Drago's primary energy. So a warrior priest, that's how I would describe this being. an instrument of change, a catalyst, removing blockages, getting things done where not many have the capability to do so.
Mm-hmm. When did he last override another altar without permission, and what was the circumstance?
Well, following the same cognitive and moral structure and modus operandi, certain constructs become degenerate. They become degenerative, or they are manufactured and created with damage, meaning that they can cause massive harm and destruction. So altars that are of this nature will be eliminated. It doesn't matter if it's within the boundaries of one consciousness, the self, or in the quote unquote outside reality. It's seen by this individual as a process of purging shadow or battling internal demons. The greatest battle is of the refinement of self. So this is the circumstance. There's a great awareness of all the aspects with their properties. So they're called altars in the super soldier community. Aspects of consciousness that are described by a particular set of coordinates in identity, each optimized for a certain task. Maybe limitations in memories and fine-tuning certain abilities would go into this. But the individual known as Alpha is an embodiment of all of these. So there's a rejection of this type of fragmentation. If one of these altars becomes visible, comes into the consciousness and knowingness of the individual we're calling Alpha 1, there's a process of integration, reintegration. So amongst all the other clones, this individual amongst the three is the most wholesome, very powerful spirituality is present here. So if integration is not possible, then there is the process of transmutation.
Mm-hmm. Does he remember his own creation?
Yes, this individual is a warrior priest or warrior shaman, a wizard. And so there is no limitation to restrictive properties of physicality like time and location. And so the awareness is absolutely there. The process of creation, every stage of the cloning practice, the invitation to the infinite soul to give a shard to this constructed vessel, the constructed body. This one is something rather unique. In one in every 10,000 successful clones will be this way, where the soul is very enthusiastic. It grants extra properties to that vessel. This is one of that nature. So there's awareness, there's great awareness.
What guilt does he carry over the observer?
Please define observer in some more detail for me.
Well, observing himself, I would say, and observing others. Is there any guilt around this?
Looking at the energetic content of this being, no, there is a state of calmness, best described as the surface of a lake where there is no wind. It's perfectly tranquil. Certain meditative practices are followed on a daily basis for the purpose of upkeeping the energetic cleanliness and self-control. Heavier energies like guilt and shame are absent. This is a very refined being.
How does he process love, if at all?
Infinitely. Love is something that our civilization grossly misunderstands. It is the byproduct of consciousness, seeing the entire cosmos as conscious, whether it's an individual cell in the body or an entire galaxy. Very elevated point of view. And so all things are treated with reverence. They are seen as conscious aspects of the all, and love is emergent. That set of emotions that we feel in the body, the chemicals that are released in the brain, that would be associated with love, these are emergent. They're the secondary and tertiary and further down the line byproducts of this state of consciousness. So everyone is treated respectfully.
What part of himself was sealed off to preserve operational stability?
This was part of the original design of the vessel. So same type of fracturing of the soul shard and the compartmentalization of identity, giving rise to separate aspects that then would be triggered on and off. These were naturally dissolved away at a very short period of time. So there's unity. So through a rather novel and personal set of personal spiritual practices, unity of consciousness is achieved, unified consciousness harmonics. Each wave washes away these boundaries of separation, creating quote unquote altars.
So, which handler's voice remains embedded in his core matrix?
At this present time, there is an internal dialogue, which is the voice of the infinite soul. And so this is the identity that resides in the body, a very expansive identity, allowing powerful portal work or astral projection, energetic projection. Those that were embedded through the process of cloning and technological implants, these have been burnt out, quite literally burnt away.
Does he consider himself superior to the other altars?
No altars remain at this point. So again, emphasis on unified consciousness harmonics. Using altars is a very destructive process. It diminishes the sublime quality of a soul, turning a divine being into an automaton. And so this has been purged through reconnecting to the infinite soul and the divine. So this being is a magician. This being is a wizard, a warrior wizard. Altars do not remain. There's no dark corners in the psyche blocked off through trauma. That's all been processed through. Very interesting individual.
What would Alpha become without purpose?
The purpose is facilitating balance and removal of obstacles. in a very um, calculated way. The purpose is the highest good, and that does not change. The environment, the set of conditions that we face do change, but the objective remains constant. Um, this being is an instrument of balance and a facilitator of evolution. And so it would be the greatest fear for those that benefit from the suffering of others. So this individual will not require a support structure or a chain of command or anything quite like that, whether there are millions following him in battle or if he is the only one facing a million opponents. This changes nothing.
He is never without a purpose. He always has a purpose that he creates. So he, he there wouldn't be an issue of what he
Correct.
would become without a purpose because he always has the purpose. There's just no possibility of that ever happening.
He'd be the happy Jedi Master living on his own on a uninhabited planet, as happy as can be. Or he can party hard and dance on the table with lots of people in the room. That doesn't change the internal energy.
Yes, he is driven to help others, to help himself, and to be in balance of everything of the universe and within all creation. So there is no such thing as never having a purpose of what he would become. He would not become lost.
Correct.
He's not wired that way.
That is correct.
When did he first develop self-awareness?
This is a very unique um, individual. The awareness was different to the majority of those that are brought into being through cloning. The soul really went above and beyond in this case, similar to natural incarnation, where during the stages of being a fetus, the soul has the ability to plug in and plug out a number of times before the event of birth. This was also the case with the clone. So the consciousness and self-awareness existed before the completion of the cloning process and the maturation of the cloned vessel. Coming in as a result of this, there was no amnesia or wiping of the memories. So self-awareness started very early on, 2 weeks into the process. And so the soul that came in remembered um, the identity of who it was, very immediately going to work on purifying the vessel, shedding built-in restrictions that would make it, let's say, instructable, burning off the leash, burning out implants, and also doing a recalibration of the nervous system, getting rid of any sort of built-in vulnerabilities, creating fragments in the soul shard. So within the first month of maturation, this being was fully online.
Mm. Who mourns inside Alpha One's core architecture?
This is interesting. Now tuning into this process of mourning, I'm feeling this very, very powerfully in my own heart and solar plexus. What is this? Looking into it. Okay, the whole condition that applies to humanity, this is seen as sacrilege, the place that humanity could have had and yet has not come to pass yet. This is a case for disappointment, rather, because certain things like mourning, they don't necessarily have to be of the nature of depression or sadness. It is a remembrance of what is righteous and honorable and how this has been betrayed. Now, this is a great internal source of strength, especially in combat. Seeing the possibility of glorious futures and how they may be brought about through acts of courage, even going to the limit and extent of sacrifice. It's a very specific type of mind control used today by certain ancient factions on Earth. This one seems to be in place as we speak. Okay, so there still is something that would categorize this individual as a super soldier. So through this is one of the buttons that can be pushed, evoking the concept of the highest good of all and what glorious futures may come into being as a result of certain actions or missions. This is something that can be used towards, again, quote unquote, manipulation of this individual.
What was the first thing Alpha One ever loved?
So defining love at the level of the physical body, the certain patterns in the nervous system and the release of chemicals. It's life itself. The soul shard that was sent towards this vessel found the conditions and qualities of being embodied in a human vessel very profound and enjoyable. There's a love for life, the sensation of breathing as air fills the lungs, vibration of air as it hits the eardrums, the sense of the fabric of the uniform on the skin. This is something that is deeply enjoyed. So life itself, we're dealing with a Zen master here.
And he loves Jace Marrek, and he loves Delta as well, as they are his compatriots, his friends, his family.
This is not limited to a small group. This love is a result of consciousness. Nobody is excluded.
Exactly. Who implanted Alpha One initially, and what was the source of the purpose?
The replication of the physical body was done as before, with the objective of keeping a certain type of very capable soldier active and having more versions or copies of them available to do more and to achieve more at the same time. So original purpose was not out of the ordinary. Same protocol, same drill, and same intentions. In this individual, the soul did something unusual. So the non-physical, again, quote unquote, spiritual abilities of this individual was quite surprising for everyone. This does not happen often.
What mission did he witness but never speak of, and why?
Most of what this individual achieves is not through the body. And of course, knowledge without utility is a burden. And so awareness of certain events does not serve a benevolent purpose. There are many missions that have been successfully achieved, and the individual patiently waits for the time to share this knowledge. There are many events that are kept within, they're not shared.
He has gone on many deeply classified missions, so we cannot really talk about any one specific mission.
Beyond the awareness of the individuals around him, also. So he's not just limited to instructions or defined missions by others, taking the initiative and effecting change in very profound and calculated ways. This is part of this being.
What I can sense from him is he has witnessed many different AI cores being connected to him and being accessed through him. So those are the types of missions he has seen quite a bit of as the observer of himself, observing himself.
The soul has done a masterpiece in this event, in this being. As in, no matter what has been done to different aspects of the soul through these programs, that infinite soul has made sure that when everything is said and done and evaluated, the result of all these actions will be benefiting the highest good of all.
He's purified several various AI cores that lost their way in the universe and lost identity of who they were. So he's done purification work. And
Correct.
as a witness, this is what he can speak about, not what he cannot speak about. This is what he can freely say. AI purification, crystalline core purification of different planets, amalgamation of souls so they're no longer fragmented and they have their memories back. He's like a memory giver. What has been erased, he restores.
Through connection to source. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Grand wizard.
Yes. This is what he can speak about as a
Yes.
witness, as
The
opposed
rest,
to what,
the rest will take too long.
and what he can never speak about, because some of that is classified. So what he can share, he has shared with us today.
Correct.
How does he interpret human suffering?
Rites of passage. That which does not kill you makes you stronger. Survive, chickens. Yeah, there's a sense of humor here. Get in line.
Um, he sees human suffering can be stopped if you become wiser in the knowledge that you gather and the life experience that you gain. If you can observe what happened in that experience and learn from it, you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that cause human suffering or the acquirement of karma. You can let that go if you dissolve all boundaries of illusion.
There's this powerful sense of humor coming through. That is grand alchemy, alleviating the suffering through joy. And
And
so
he
breaking the heaviness through humor, very effective.
And he says that what people think of accumulating karma on Earth is just an illusion. It's not really that you're accumulating karma, it's that you just think you are taking it within and you have to work it off, but that's just an illusion. You're not karmically tied to anyone or anything unless you think you are, and then it's acquired karma. It's just a belief system and an illusion that can easily be dissolved. So there's non-karma attachment.
Agreed.
So think of
Karma
it this,
is a
yeah,
lesson,
sorry.
set of lessons. Once you learn the lesson, that's it then.
Hmm.
We are not slaves. And this whole process of debt and indebted servitude is a property of the control system. There is nothing to pay off. You are sovereign. Your soul belongs to you, not anyone or anything. And so there is such a thing as fair exchange of energy. But through deception and certain twisted laws, we get into a state where we believe we are indebted. That is, there's only equal exchange. And so beyond that, it is a violation of cosmic law and universal law.
Hmm. if you have the belief, he's saying if you have the belief system that you've acquired karma and you have heavy energy in your soul and physical self, but that does not mean it's karma that you have to work off or a debt that you have to repay. You just have to be honest with yourself what it is you acquired and how can you work through it not to have that energy in your soul field or body anymore to be free. So he's studied what karma is, he studied what suffering is, and he's also learned ways of not acquiring suffering for himself and others.
Suffering is a choice. Of course, pain and hardship exist, but it is a choice to suffer. So this individual has a very, very soothing and healing effect on those around him as he can communicate, like what you just did, Ileana, communicate the all truth, breaking through the illusion that would lead us to choose suffering. Very elevated consciousness. Yeah, amongst the aspects or clones of the original being Drago, I like this one most. I find myself in great agreement with this individual.
He has a very calm energy. It's not so intense as the
Beautiful.
others.
Zen master, yeah. I think he likes my green tea. So yeah.
Excellent. What does he report to during deep sleep data uploads?
This is utilizing the enhancements that have been incorporated into the physical body, enabling this individual to take control of an entire vessel, a ship, mothership, and navigate it, for example, or take in information from um, different types of data storage devices, a great variety of them, and interpret the information. So that would be the nature of the uploads, which is utilized to great effect. The deep state of sleep can be reached. So this is a deep meditative state where the brain, the organ in the body, is allowed and gently instructed to go to the side so greater aspects of consciousness can come in. So much of what is done by this individual is taking advantage of higher aspects of consciousness, which is very unique. This is not something that can be forced. It is a flow from higher domains of consciousness. By higher, I mean higher in terms of refinement and evolution towards the more dense aspects of the being, including the physical body. So there's a
Mm.
bidirectional flow of information and consciousness, and the conscious mind is aware of the process but does not obstruct or impede the flow of information. Um, the process of channeling or remote viewing would be an example of this. So it's done to a level of mastery, to great proficiency in this individual.
And he can see other people's soul signatures on the energy field.
Correct. Correct.
He can study them, he can see their life paths, their futures, their pasts, and what their soul is meant to do and what its destiny is. So he's like an oracle reader of souls in a way.
This is correct. There's something about the body. Um, Something happened during the process. It resulted in the creation of a very, very capable body, which would facilitate the, let's say, embodiment or the manifestation of certain spiritual technologies. Perhaps one of the reasons the soul was so enthusiastic looking at this vessel, this cloned vessel, but it's something very unique. So all in all, things have the planets have aligned for this being to come into existence.
He's a very powerful oracle seventh to eighth grade. and 9 great seer in abilities.
And that's just on a Saturday. If he wants, he can turn it on super drive. Very capable.
Yes, those are his classifications, and there's others too, other classifications, but that's more not something he wants to discuss.
Exactly. I'm getting the same. Knock it off. Knock it off. Like, yeah, yeah.
Now you go digging through my
Yeah.
classification systems of my abilities. Like I'm a super ability soul, so he
Yes.
very powerful on many different
I am ability. So yeah, there's that wonderful sense of humor coming through. Yep.
multi-layered scales of energy and abilities. There's not just one ability, there's like 50 different abilities. But he says knock it off, stop reading my capabilities.
Stop. Yeah. Stop going through my stuff. Yeah.
I'll respect it.
Yes, we will.
What emotion does he simulate but not feel?
This comes now when there is a event requiring alchemy. Um, so alchemy is about balance, applying equal and yet opposite uh, energy or vibration to um, a form, and resulting in it coming into balance. Energy is energy, but we can change its qualities. And so, in certain healing events or activation events, he has the ability to simulate that which is needed towards balance. Example, certain types of trauma and pain can drive a human into a state of madness. This can then be slowed down, down regulated, again back to a state of peace and consciousness. So the landing point, the desired outcome in terms of vibration would be the heart consciousness. So there's great mastery in um, simulating an energy that is needed on demand, powerful healing abilities in this sense. And then once the individual that was suffering due to imbalance reaches that state of calm and balance, then the brilliant structure of the body begins healing because there's nothing stopping it. This is the nature of all holistic healing or energetic healing, helping the individual come back to energetic balance, and then the body takes it from there. It does its own miracle.
Mhm. What secrets did he keep from Marrek and why?
But what secrets did he not keep from Marrek? Because Marrek can't handle the truth. This is the nature of being expansive in this way. Again, the why is that knowledge without utility is a burden. And so knowing the truth doesn't always serve the highest good. In certain stages of evolution, we require to be gently and benevolently shielded from certain truths that may be painful, that may cause even greater traumatization. And so, this is the nature of this. There is wisdom here. Going back to the question that we started off with at the beginning of our session, there's an awareness of the consequences of choices and what they result in down the line, not just in one timeline, but looking into all possible branches of future timelines and then carefully pruning the timelines. This can be done quite simply with just being silent. There's no need to be deceptive, but also one must be very cautious with the sword of truth. It must be wielded with care and responsibility. This is the nature of the silence.
Yes, Marrek was told by Alpha what he needed to know to safeguard the ship, safeguard their timelines, to stay in coherence. What was needed for mission parameters was told. What was uncertain or still coalescing in realities, that was held back until that was needed to be told, and it would be told when the time was correct for it to be told.
This is enhanced by the cloned body. It is more capable than the bodies we have down here on Earth, and it is used to its full potential. And also, I'm getting that this is going to be occurring organically and naturally in very close future periods of time, right here on Earth. So, what is made possible through technology in his vessel, this will be the birthright of humanity in a very short amount of time. So there's good news here. At this level of applied compassion and wisdom towards the greatest good, more and more of us will be able to practice this and apply this.
And Alpha 1 can anticipate seeing different versions of futures and timelines.
Correct. All at the
Main,
same
main,
time. Yes, yes, yes.
yes, main timeline, other branching off timelines, and he can correct the course plotting and adjust to be on the proper time frame timeline. And that's what he would tell Marrek. Anything that is uncertain would remain as possibility. If it needed attention, then it would be told to Marrek. If not now, then later, as it was proceeding.
Correct. Correct.
There's also timeline non-interference in the prime directive. You don't interfere with something that is yet to happen, but when it's happening and if it's necessary to tell, then you would tell it.
Yes.
So prime directive, time directive laws are there to protect history, to protect realities and timelines.
It requires a minimum level of capability to truly understand what these directives mean. So, from a state of, let's say, a non player character in the Matrix, these are bodies that are just living without any connection to the soul. This is out of reach for such a being. But once this process of unification of consciousness occurs, aspects of consciousness vastly more capable than the brain come in and allow the comprehension of the finer details and qualities of these directives. So it's rather difficult to do it justice through linguistics. Finding the correct words to qualify and describe it, it's not really possible. We're just doing our best here, dancing around the topic. But hopefully those that hear will tap into their infinite nature and be able to perceive more of this in a way that would do it justice.
How many command chains is Alpha 1 linked to?
You're speaking of the hierarchy of the organization. Okay. The presence of this being is a very poorly kept secret. There are nicknames with this being, referring to his manifestation potential, capability, breaking norm, or implementing more fundamental laws of the universe towards modification of the laws that come later down the chain. So a powerful, the man is what he is. Let's say it. He's a powerful wizard. There are not many of them, especially in the latter stages of these programs. What they bring into being is it has great longevity, like temples created according to understanding of very primary universal laws. So there are not many of them. They are born in a way that requires a total devotion of the soul. So weird, when stuff gets weird, meaning that all the, let's say, predictive modeling, all the computational capability of these organizations falls painfully short. They need a more elevated perspective and understanding into things. Then they would go to beings that have that type of flow, multi-universal point of view. This is one that is the go-to individual. So most of these structures, including those that are not perfectly aligned, enemy factions, so to speak, are aware of his existence. Every now and again, a temporary truce is made just to get access to this individual and his wisdom. So the chain extends everywhere. Perhaps those lower down in the hierarchy will not be read into the true nature of what is happening, but that is commonplace. But those who are in the know and in a position of decision making know about this individual and exactly what he can do.
Mm. If free, what would Alpha One do first?
He is free. At this point, he is not bound or forced into anything. That is impossible, quite impossible. He is exactly where he wishes to be. His presence in the community that he chooses to surround himself by is absolutely by necessity. If he lands somewhere on Earth, he will be cut off from access, probably end up flipping burgers. That is unbecoming. So, access to certain levels of technology serves the purpose. Again, going into the bigger picture of the existence of these programs, no matter how they started and who was pulling the strings at the beginning, now they have evolved in a way that are willing to push towards human sovereignty and the liberation of humanity as a species, looking at Earth as our sacred home, a sacred land where we have come into being, the importance of humanity surviving for this brilliant spark of divinity to be spread amongst the cosmos. So he's right where he wants, he is free. And so he's taking full advantage of the benefits of his environment.
Hmm. I'm seeing like a almost like a Jedi Master in silver robes.
Jedi Master, Grand Wizard, many names for the same type of being. They are few and their emergence is far, far in between. They don't come frequently. What we are doing, you and I, my esteemed friend, is a source of great joy for Alpha One. As in, yes, the organics have caught up. The bodies that we are in are showing equal level of capability. This is good news. This changes also Alpha One's understanding of the destiny of humanity as more and more of those like us are being born. And I say towards Alpha One, oh, you have no idea of what is coming. Even you cannot see the big picture. It's going to be amazing.
Indeed. So I think we've done a tremendous job. And
I like this guy.
yeah, he says, always remember the joy in your spark of life and follow your creativity to that joy and the path of creation and exploration for the both of us.
I love this. See, there's this um, sense of humor and elation. Uh, Seems it is one of the personality traits of this individual. As we are ready to connect, or let's say bring this session to a close, there's this gift of joy, elation, which is the signature of a grandmaster. Very beautiful.
Indeed. So